Hello everyone, welcome to the Tim Booker channel. Wishing you a delightful listening experience. Today, I'll be talking about a book written by Kenneth O. Stanley and Joe Lehman titled Why Greatness Cannot Be Planned, subtitled, The Free Exploration of Creativity, Innovation, and the Unforeseen. While the names Stanley and Lehman might not ring a bell initially, their affiliation might command respect. Both are researchers at OpenAI. As many know, in November 2022, OpenAI unveiled the widely acclaimed artificial intelligence language model, ChatGPT, capable of seamlessly handling complex tasks like answering questions, translating text, summarizing information, and even crafting documents in language nearly indistinguishable from human writing. Kenneth O. Stanley and Joe Lehman are pivotal scientists in the development team behind ChatGPT. In a way, this book, Why Greatness Cannot Be Planned, can be seen as a culmination and elevation of Lehman and Stanley's own technical exploration and innovative methodology. However, their intent in this book isn't to discuss their experiences in developing ChatGPT or even the pathway of artificial intelligence technology. Instead, it focuses on the underlying logic of achieving innovation and breakthroughs in this rapidly evolving era of technology, a perspective that's both disruptive and forward-thinking. Hence, today, we're specially recommending it to you. Conventional wisdom tells us that scientific and technological innovation follows a linear logic. Researchers set a goal, then through theoretical assumptions and experiments, systematically eliminate errors to reach the goal, overcoming all odds to reach the pinnacle of success. But, is this really the case? Surprisingly, the authors outright reject this notion at the beginning of the book. Stanley and Lehman propose a truth they've gleaned from years of involvement in AI algorithm optimization research. In the modern field of science and technology, truly great breakthroughs aren't the meticulously planned outcomes in advance. For instance, the most recent large-scale technological innovation project to be successful, driven by top-down design and predefined objectives, was the Apollo moon landing program spearheaded by the U.S. government in the 60s and 70s. Since then, there have been no similar cases. In other words, any innovation or breakthrough isn't akin to climbing a mountain following a predefined path towards a clearly visible goal. It's more like treasure hunting in a thick foggy marsh, where the goal is unknown, the route undefined, and the task of the treasure hunter is to find stepping stones, exploring as vast an area as possible, and discovering valuable treasures within the explored territory. However, in the realm of scientific innovation, the term valuable treasure doesn't always mean immediate economic returns. Stanley and Lehman explain that in scientific exploration, the value of any theory, solution, material, or technology often hinges on its novelty. Novelty reigns supreme. Paul Graham, renowned as the father of Silicon Valley and a tech investor, once stated that in high-tech fields, exceptional research isn't necessarily good, but it must be new. Likewise, exceptional product design isn't necessarily new, but it must be good. Revolutionary products emerge only through the use of brand new ideas and theories, solving problems that predecessors couldn't. Why is this so? Because novelty implies the expansion of our cognitive boundaries, introducing more new information that upgrades and complicates our existing cognitive structures. Ultimately, in this seemingly aimless scientific treasure hunt, it inevitably spawns technologies or solutions that surpass human capabilities and possess revolutionary iterative potential. By this point, I'm sure you've developed a keen interest and anticipation for the content of this book. So, moving forward, I'll divide it into two main parts. Firstly, let's explore why, in the forefront of technology, exhaustive goals and overly specific plans hinder rather than foster breakthroughs and innovation. Secondly, following Stanley and Lehman's approach, let's examine how, in today's era of rapid technological advancement and the prevailing trend of interdisciplinary research, we can achieve breakthroughs and innovation. Firstly, let's explore why authors Stanley and Lehman argue that in the exploration of high technology, setting clear goals isn't an effective method. Instead, it narrows the explorer's search field, providing incorrect ideas and directions for progress. In our daily learning and work, we're continuously told that having a goal gives us motivation and a sense of purpose. The concept of plan first, then act suggests that by setting and breaking down ultimate goals, we can formulate refined and precise action plans and learning strategies, gradually improving and upgrading ourselves. Moreover, It's widely believed that from small enterprises, various organizational structures to broader society, nations, and even the entire biosphere and natural environment, their existence and development are guided by some predetermined ultimate goals, such as survival and evolutionary advancement. Once the goal is lost, be it for an individual, a living organism, a collective society, or nature itself, it can lead to stagnation, confusion, and disorientation. Certainly, Stanley and Lehman mention that this goal-oriented approach is reasonably effective in conventional terms. However, in fields characterized by rapid progress, high risk, and uncertainty, such as scientific and technological innovation, and even the domain of art, many rules within goal-oriented thinking become ineffective. Why does this happen? Stanley and Lehman suggest that these grandiose goals, due to their complexity and involvement of numerous informational variables, coupled with the limitations of existing technologies and theories, cannot immediately produce a feasible plan for execution and resolution. Thus, the imagined roadmap for clear actions becomes unattainable. In reality, according to Stanley and Lehman, breakthroughs in the forefront of human technological and scientific advancements resemble a sort of treasure hunt. It's like slowly exploring a vast, dark, structurally complex room filled with objects or a marshland. The desired outcome or reward might be hidden in a corner, juxtaposed with seemingly unrelated items, for instance, a collection of fire usage, wheels, bows and arrows, technologies necessary for humanity's early transition to agricultural settlement. Farther off might be personal computers, fiber optics, technologies necessary for humanity's entry into the information age, and so on. We must navigate forward in darkness, making marks to distinguish explored known spaces from unexplored areas. In a marshland scenario, we must also find stepping stones that help us progress further. Moreover, among these scattered treasures spread across various locations, many items are closely connected. Discovering item A might offer valuable clues about the whereabouts of B or C. In such situations, the more detailed and specific a goal is set, and the more meticulously precise the plan, the less likely the objective can be achieved. Reflecting on the history of human technological inventions, one can observe many instances of flowers not blossoming when intentionally planted, but flourishing unexpectedly. Take, for example, the everyday household appliance, the microwave oven. One might assume that there was definitely a consumer electronics company or an inventor aiming to create a convenient, rapid food heating device and dedicated efforts to invent an energy-efficient and safe heating technology, ultimately choosing electromagnetic waves. However, the history of human usage of electromagnetic wave devices spans much longer than our use of microwave ovens. As early as the 1920s and 30s, magnetrons capable of continuously emitting electromagnetic waves were manufactured for radar detection devices. They were continuously improved during World War II until in 1946, an engineer from the U.S. military contractor Raytheon, Percy Spencer, accidentally discovered that the chocolate bar in his pocket melted when he stood close to the device during radar testing, realizing the potential use of electromagnetic waves for heating food. Similarly, data storage, crucial for computer development, was initially invented and applied in the textile industry. In the 18th century, a French mechanic and inventor named Jacquard envisioned a way to rapidly weave complex patterns on fabric using a loom, punched cards. Prior to this, creating intricately patterned fabric using weaving machines required a dedicated draftsman to manually control different colored yarns based on the pattern alongside the machine, a laborious and inefficient process, resulting in low production of complex patterned fabric at high prices. The function of punched cards is akin to early computer control programs. The specific mechanism involved a stack of punched cards placed on the loom's baseboard. As the weaving needle moved, encountering holes on the card, it passed through, picking up yarn and allowing other vertically arranged yarns to pass through from below. Thus, a set of cards punched at different positions could precisely control when weaving needles at specific locations would lift, rapidly creating fabric with complex patterns. By the 19th century, punched cards caught the attention of British mathematician Charles Babbage, who believed that since punched cards could store printed patterns on fabric, they could undoubtedly record complex numerical computation patterns. Applied to early mechanical computers, these cards allowed computers to execute complex numerical calculations according to programmed instructions. In the 1940s and 50s, after the advent of early electronic computers, scientists discovered they could translate early computer programs into a set of binary codes, store them using punched cards, read them by computers, and execute them. Thus, many stepping stones toward significant technological advancements or innovations were discovered by humans exploring seemingly unrelated fields. The primary application scenarios of these stepping stones had no relation whatsoever to the eventual grandiose goals. Stanley and Lehman even propose a hypothetical scenario familiar to avid readers of online literature: if several modern IT engineers and scientists were transported collectively back to ancient times and could gather the brightest minds of that era, could they organize a project team using a goal-oriented model to construct a computer? The answer is undoubtedly no. On the surface, the project's bottleneck would be the lack of infrastructure and raw materials required to build a computer, from electricity and industrial machinery to purified silicon, which were simply unavailable in ancient times. However, the deeper reason is that ancient people couldn't conceive the purpose behind creating such a machine. It's evident that only when human economic and scientific activities become sufficiently complex, will the technological materials necessary for building computers emerge. Simultaneously, humans become aware of the need for a machine with supercomputing and information processing capabilities. Moreover, overly specific yet distant goals can be highly misleading, leading us onto incorrect paths of exploration or research. In their book, Stanley and Lehman illustrate such an example. Suppose you suddenly become a creator holding a planet identical to Earth in both environment and biology, with some simple single-celled organisms already present. What evolutionary breeding strategy should you adopt to birth highly intelligent beings akin to humans on this planet? According to Stanley and Lehman, using the conventional, goal-oriented strategy would involve measuring the intelligence of all single-celled organisms and then selectively breeding those with the highest intelligence. Although this logic seems sound, the actual absurd answer would undoubtedly provoke laughter. If we deconstruct the essence of intelligence from the perspective of biological neuroscience and the process of biological evolution, it becomes apparent that the emergence of highly intelligent beings wasn't the goal of natural evolution. At best, it was a byproduct of evolution. Firstly, let's examine what intelligence is. Biologist and science writer Wang Liming once said that intelligence is a pattern of interaction between an individual and its environment. It involves capturing information, accumulating experience, summarizing patterns, and improving strategies and skills in response. In essence, intelligence is a form of learning ability. From a neurobiological perspective, learning occurs through connections and resonances among neurons within an organism. So, how could early Earth organisms enhance their learning efficiency? The most efficient method was to have a significant number of neurons within the body, thereby increasing the total amount of information exchanged per unit of time. Hence, complex organisms composed of multiple cells had an overwhelming advantage over single-celled organisms. However, the primary impetus behind the transition from single-celled to multi-celled organisms wasn't to develop advanced intelligence but for survival. At that time, with few species and similar forms, larger organisms had a lower risk of being consumed and could become apex predators in the food chain. Additionally, becoming a multi-celled organism had the benefit of allowing cells to specialize and collaborate within the body, enabling simultaneous execution of various tasks, from movement and reproduction to energy production. British theoretical physicist Geoffrey West proposed Kleiber's law in his book, Scale, stating that as biological systems grow in size and structural complexity, the energy expenditure required to sustain them decreases. Specifically, for every doubling in scale, there's a 25% surplus, implying that to better survive, organisms needed to increase the complexity of their structures, achieving economies of scale. Consequently, highly intelligent beings, such as humans, emerged as accidental discoveries in this marshland exploration of evolution. Using Stanley and Lehman's words, competition in natural evolution isn't comprehensive. Each species doesn't need to achieve overall optimization but can reach local optimization within their specific ecological niche. It can even generate its own ecological niche through accidental mutations. Therefore, after all organisms acquire the basic abilities of survival and reproduction, evolution becomes a typical, non-purposeful exploration. In other words, when the evolution of organisms, including humans and other mammals, culminated in complex forms, competition among various species prompted them to compete within their respective ecological niches. Humans, who weren't particularly fast or strong, evolved complex brain structures to contend with other animals. Hence, the creation of highly intelligent beings, such as humans, in the course of evolution was not because nature set out to create brains at the level of humans as its goal. This situation often recurs in scenarios where scientists train artificial intelligence. Countless instances of amusing outcomes arise. Stanley and Lehman cite an example from their own artificial intelligence training, setting up a flat maze and training a robot to navigate it successfully to reach the exit. Surprisingly, if the algorithm was set to reach the exit as quickly as possible, the robot's progress would be hindered. This is because it always adhered to the principle of goal orientation, attempting to plan the most direct route to the exit. However, the logical routes perceived by humans were deemed incorrect by the robot in some instances as they momentarily moved away from the exit, deviating from the goal. Consequently, the robot perpetually rushed towards the exit, crashing into walls within the maze. Through this small computer experiment, the concept that prioritizing goals leads to incorrect solution paths is vividly demonstrated. So, how does one achieve innovation and breakthroughs? Stanley and Lehman suggest setting a foundational logic for exploration or research. View it as an exploration of interesting and novel concepts. Temporarily shift our focus away from so-called great and distant goals and turn towards the potential treasures hidden within our visible range and the stepping stones towards unfamiliar territories. Now, some might ask, pursuing novelty seems aimless and challenging to control. Is it really reliable to guide scientific research or technological innovation with this principle? Stanley and Lehman reassure that exploring the unknown is the fundamental impetus behind continuous human evolution and civilizational development. Even in eventual failure, our efforts to pursue new theories and solutions yield more valuable experience and data than adhering strictly to established exploration methods. To illustrate this point, Stanley and Lehman recount an artificial intelligence virtual experiment they conducted. The goal was to teach a robot with human-like legs to walk. In the algorithms they devised for the robot, the primary objective wasn't immediate proficiency in bipedal locomotion. Instead, it aimed to prompt the robot to perform novel actions using its legs. Surprisingly, when the algorithm encouraged the robot to exhibit novelty, it took far less time for it to learn walking compared to when the goal was set to learn walking as quickly as possible. Why is this so? It turns out when the robot was set to learn walking as quickly as possible, any instance of falling was deemed detrimental within the algorithm's logic. Consequently, the robot tried hard to avoid falling, limiting its experimentation with various walking postures. Conversely, prioritizing novel actions prompted the robot to initially stumble in various ways. However, through this process, it gradually learned to kick and swing its body, two fundamental actions for bipedal locomotion. Sometimes, purely playful behavior among researchers can foster unexpected technological innovations. For instance, the heralded 3D printing technology, touted to lead the next industrial revolution. In 1995, Jim Brett, a graduate student at MIT, and his friend Anderson were tasked by their supervisor to improve a nozzle for a concrete sprayer. Brett, noticing the frequent clogging of the nozzle, experimented by spraying various materials, such as icing, cake mix, and shredded cheese. Then, they ingeniously connected the nozzle to a printer and managed to print a variety of three-dimensional letters. Eventually, this revolutionary invention secured a patent from MIT and a $7 million seed fund. Even when an idea or innovation lacks a specific application or isn't entirely functional, astute explorers can sense that it's a significant stepping stone, substantially expanding their cognitive boundaries. Take, for example, Silicon Valley pioneer Graham, often considered a treasure hunter, though he prefers the term pirate. Graham studied philosophy at Cornell University but felt a calling towards something tech-related that could directly change the world. During his graduate studies at Harvard's Computer Science Department, Graham dabbled in visual arts at the Rhode Island School of Design during holidays. He found that his broad engagement in multiple fields provided a holistic, big-picture perspective. Painting and programming, he realized, shared underlying logic, insightfulness, precision, user-centricity, aesthetics, while being open to constant modification and improvement. However, Stanley and Lehman caution us in their book, seemingly spontaneous innovative breakthroughs in scientific history are never accidental. They result from individuals discovering numerous stepping stones during long, arduous explorations, inadvertently standing only a step away from that mysterious treasure trove. For instance, even if Newton's story of the apple is true, it merely signifies the apple's fall as the last stepping stone leading Newton to formulate the law of universal gravitation. Before that, Newton had spent years immersed in mathematics and astrophysics. The phenomenon of an apple falling had been witnessed by countless others, but only Newton connected it to the gravitational force between celestial bodies. Ultimately, it stemmed from Newton's keen observational skills and open-mindedness fostered through years of dedicated research. Here's a rough overview of Why Greatness Cannot Be Planned. The authors, Stanley and Lehman, present a significantly different technological innovation outlook and methodology in an amusing yet straightforward manner. They eschew excessive use of artificial intelligence jargon and even steer clear of presenting any mathematical formulas. Instead, they advocate for an underlying logic, don't fixate on goals, avoid rigidly setting specific plans, and let curiosity be the enduring driving force while adopting an explorer's mindset. According to them, this is the path to reaching the shores of greatness and success. Throughout the book, Stanley and Lehman dedicate a considerable portion to numerous real cases in scientific innovation history to prove that in high-tech domains, an overly goal-oriented approach leads to narrow perspectives and erroneous methodological paths. Overemphasizing goal orientation becomes particularly conspicuous in the field of artificial intelligence, where the debate persists. Does a universally applicable AI solution exist? Is it about leveraging existing algorithms through extensive database-driven deep learning to comprehend human languages? Or should AI take the contrary path by attempting human-like reasoning to understand the logic behind various language concepts? These questions seemingly lack definitive answers in the foreseeable future. Additionally, Stanley and Lehman critique certain shortcomings in the innovation system within high-tech American companies today. They assert that an obsession with rapidly achieving a specific technological innovation and instant profitability is steering the once vibrant American high-tech industry astray. On one hand, stepping stone technologies that temporarily lack direct utility yet might lead to significant breakthroughs are neglected and underfunded. On the other hand, many immature technologies, though seemingly attractive, with unclear application scenarios, rapidly turn into bubbles due to capital-driven hype. Although Stanley and Lehman's critique focuses on the United States, some of their viewpoints are worth consideration for China's developing landscape today. The strategy that massive investment alone reliably produces fundamental breakthroughs in specific research fields has proven to carry substantial risks and uncertainties. Conversely, seemingly unguided explorations may seem unwise but align with the essence of scientific exploration. Hence, through this book, Stanley and Lehman appeal to all those ready to explore the unknown and advance the technological forefront. Instead of blindly focusing on the distant future, pay attention to what's around you, the stepping stones beneath your feet. Although these stones may only lead temporarily to another, we must believe that the innovation chain they form is the correct path leading to the discovery of greatness. That sums up the essence of this book. Congratulations on completing yet another book. Thanks for your support and attention. Subscribe to the Tim Booker channel, give it a thumbs up, and share this valuable knowledge with friends. Let's combine wisdom with action to achieve our financial goals and create a better future. Thank you all, goodbye.